Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'd like to show you guys how to make carrot tops and how to grow carrot tops so you can have a harvest of fresh carrot leaves. So first of all, what you'll need is a chopping board and a knife, some carrots, either a dish or a small pot of compost, but you can also grow them outdoors. So what you want to do with the carrots is, as you're cutting them for cooking, often you need to take the top off because you can't eat the top. So what this is basically recycling the top and regrowing that so that you can have some carrot greens. Now, growing a carrot top, you're never going to get a new carrot. What happens with carrots is in the first year of growth, they put all their energy into the root, and that's basically where they store all the energy for next year. Then in the second year, they use all that energy they've stored in the root, along with some energy from the sun as they're growing, to flower and produce seeds for next year. So this is going to be 1 year old now, and because it's 1 year old carrots, they're never going to be able to produce any more roots. So when you do a carrot top, you'll never be able to grow a carrot again, but you'll grow plenty of leaves, and those leaves you can still eat. So looking at, we want to find a decent carrot. You don't want one that's got too much rot at the top or too much damage at the top. And you want to cut off probably about a couple of centimeters. So just a bit more than you would cut off when compared with cutting it when you're normally doing it for groceries. So often when I'm cooking, I would only cut a very thin slither, but you want to cut probably at least 2 centimeters or so off, just to give it a better chance of survival. You can actually grow them even if they're very thin. So if you're growing these, if you've got several carrot tops and they're very thin, you can still grow them, but I'll go into why there's less success rate with that. Now the reason is, the roots on the carrot, they don't grow out from the middle. The middle is just a storage area where they store their carbohydrates for growing next year. The roots actually come out from these little eyes that are on the side, a bit like an eye on a potato. It's where the roots grow out. So all these little dents on the side of the carrot is where you'll see the new root growth, and that's why you want to cut off probably a couple of centimeters, because if you don't have any of these small eyes, then you won't get any roots growing. So if you're just growing it in water, all you need to do is place it on a saucer. It's quite simple. You just need to place it on the saucer, give it some water, and leave it in a sunny position. Now you don't want to be giving it the midday sun, so it doesn't want to get too sunny. You just want some good bright light. I'm just going to cover it up there. So I'm wanting to cover about half of it with water. So that should be about enough water for this. So you can see there, about half the carrot is covered in water. When you situate this in a nice warm position with plenty of light, what will happen is you'll soon get roots starting to grow out. This method is probably the best method if you're doing it with kids, or you're just interested to see how the roots look, because at every stage you can see the roots growing and see how it develops over time. And what will happen is you'll first of all get a bit of root growth and some leaf growth. There won't be a lot of, not much happening in the first couple of days, but once the roots get established, there'll be a lot of top growth and you get lots of leaves, and you can get quite a sizable amount of leaves. This method though, if you're growing it for just harvesting the leaves, you're not going to get the best results. The reason for that is because carrots eventually will rot off if they're left in water for too long. The infection will often get into this part and you'll find it rotting off. What you'll also need to do is, if you grow it in water, is you need to replace the water every few days. That's to make sure it doesn't get stagnant and to make sure it doesn't start to rot. So you make sure you replace the water regularly, and you will get quite a few leaves. But the problem is, if the leaves get too large, they can become top heavy and fall over. And as I say, they don't grow in water forever. So this method is probably good for probably about a month or two, but it's probably the best method if you're wanting to see the roots grow, because you can really see it nice and clearly. So the second method is this one here. All you need to do for this one here is you grow it in soil, and this will give you a longer and better results. So what you really want to do is you want to let this dry out. Once the carrot dries out at the bottom, it will callus over, and that will mean there'll be less chance of infection, because if you don't let it callus over, they can get infection into the bottom of the carrot, and then therefore it can rot off after a few weeks. But if you just leave it, you cut it, leave it somewhere cool and dry, probably in the dark, for about 3 or 4 days, this will dry up, callus over, you'll have much less chance of getting any rot. Then what you want to do is you just want to create a small hollow in the soil, and you want to bury the carrot so that only the very top is on show, and that way you'll get the most amount of root space for it. So you just want to bury it like this, so you just got a tiny bit at the top on show, so that's where the leaves can come from, and the rest is where the roots are going to grow. Carrots tend to do much better in here. I mean, in the wild they grow in soil anyway, so soil is a much better environment for them. The soil also has nutrients as well, so that you can continue growing for much longer, whereas the water, there's very few nutrients in tap water, so it's not likely to grow too long. Also, you're not as likely to get any rot problems as long as you dry it out before you plant it. So this should grow a lot bigger in the long run. Again, this will probably give you about 3 or 4 months, where this will probably only give you 1 or 2 months of growth before this starts to rot. This won't rot off in the end, but what will happen is, because this is the second year of growth for a carrot, what the plant wants to do is produce seeds so it can reproduce for next year. So what will happen is you'll get a huge amount of leaf growth at the beginning, but then after a couple of months what you'll find is you'll get a flower stalk growing. Once the flower stalk grows, this will put out some nice small white flowers. They're very small, but it does have hundreds of them, so it's not too bad a display. And they normally grow about 1 foot or 2 tall. But once it's finished flowering, all the energy then goes into the flowers. You won't get any more leaves anymore. So if you want to promote some more leaves, you can cut off the flower stalk, and that will keep the plant alive for a little bit longer. But you still won't get a huge amount more leaf growth, because that's the carrot basically done for the time of year. So but you will get a couple of months of leaves, which will be plenty to eat. So you can do this with any carrots. As I say, you can also do it with a few other plants, but carrots are probably one of the best examples. I'll leave you guys with a time lapse now so you can see how these two do over the next few weeks.